morning, everyone. Welcome to the Jeff Fitzgerald pregame show brought to you by Dr. Duke McHugh. I'm Mike Downhour, and with me is head football coach Jeff Fitzgerald. Coach, last week was West Monroe, and there were some bright spots. There were some, other things we talked about post-game, but defensively, your guys really played a great game.
We played extremely hard. I'm very proud of our guys. And the thing is Coach Taylor and that defensive staff of Lloyd Finsky and Josh Jenkins and Marcus Yanez, when I tell you those guys work and work and work to give our kids the best opportunity to win, man, they work long hours, and they're passionate about the kids, and they do everything in their power to give them the best opportunity to be successful. And I couldn't ask to work with a better group of guys. And our offensive guys do the exact same thing. I mean, we have a staff that is actually phenomenal. Mm-hmm. And, our wins and losses may not show it, but I can promise you this. I've got a group of guys that are passionate about young men and about them being young men, about more than just a football player. And so I couldn't ask to work with a better group of guys.
We talked a little bit post-game about the emotional aspect of the game. I've been around Washita football for 20-plus years, and it was probably the number 2 most emotional night, topped only by Dylan's the ashgame last year. Yeah. It was just unbelievable with the Damian Cummins jersey retirement and with Malik being there and Miss Neal being there and all that. Tell us a little bit about that and how do your kids sort through those emotions, to play the game?
Well, being a kid, their emotions run high anyway, and
right.
So they're constantly up and down and have trouble controlling them anyway. But I'm not real sure. Our kids, they turned it on when they needed to turn it on and didn't allow that to interfere with anything that they had to do. They definitely controlled it in the right way and came out ready to play. And with it being in West Monroe, your emotions are going to run high anyway. We had the jersey presentation early in the pep rally for Miss Raven Neal, and then we have the jersey presentation at halftime. And the thing is Damian didn't play with my guys, but right. He has spoken to my team before. Mm-hmm. And our guys have a connection with him and with fighting through adversity and things like that. And so they were just as excited for Damian as probably the guys that Damian played with. And so there's an emotional connection that we have with him. So the emotions were definitely high. And I think you could see that defensively in the way we played. And then offensively as well. We moved the ball well. We just, shot ourselves in the foot with some penalties and some things there that hurt us. But when it came down to it, moving the ball, our guys played really hard on both sides of the football.
And I know you had a Sonic Defensive Player of the Game. It was Reed. Tell us about his play.
Lamarius Reed was a guy that he knew he was going to have to take on that fullback every play.
Right.
And did a great job of that. And it's very tough because what they do with the veer is they're going to make you squeeze, and all of a sudden they flip it out there on the toss, and now you got to be playing wide at the same time. And so he did a phenomenal job all night. I don't know that he made a single mistake. And it gave us a great opportunity, and they went at him, and they knew what they had with Garrett Heath from the year before, and then Lamarius Reed. I think they went at him not knowing who he was or how he would play, and he did a great job for us.
We have another big game coming up tonight. We'll talk about that right after this break. You are watching the Jeff Fitzgerald pregame show brought to you by Chick-fil-A. Welcome back to the Jeff Fitzgerald pregame show brought to you by Slagle McGuffey. Coach, it's Ash. It is the last regular season game. It's a Thursday night. There are so many variables tonight. Give us an overview of this last district game and last regular season game.
Well, it definitely means a lot. We've got to go into this game, and we know that we're going to have a fight on our hands, that these guys have nothing to lose. At the same time, we have everything to lose. And so we know we've got to come into it in the right frame of mind and ready to compete from start to finish. And we're going to start fast, and we're going to finish strong.
I like that exactly. You guys have everything to lose. Playoff implications, there is still a chance for the Lions to get in.
Absolutely.
And I understand it's going to be the weekend and all that stuff too, but obviously you'll have the team ready to roll regardless next week.
No doubt. I've already reserved buses 2 weeks ago, and that's how much I believe in our team and our opportunity that we have. And so I've reserved the buses, and we know we're going to have to make a road trip in the playoffs, and which we won't worry about that until Friday, but we do have a big game on our hands tonight, and I still know some of those guys, and I know that they've shot me some messages throughout the week letting me know that they're going to be ready to play, and I have no doubt that they will be.
Well, let's talk about some of the things they've done in that very close game with Natchitoches Central. Onside kicks, fake punts, fake plays, trick plays. What do you expect tonight?
I expect a lot of the same thing. I know they're going to try some onsides. I know they're going to have some fake punts and some different things kickoff return wise, and then I expect a lot of trick plays out of them. I mean, I believe they're going to go at it with guns a-blazing.
Sam Goodwin is virtually a coaching legend. Over 102 wins. He's got 4 Southland Conference championships at Northwestern. He's head football coach now, and I know you've been around him in the past, but is this your first time head-to-head with him as a head coach?
This is definitely my first time head-to-head against Coach Goodwin.
And your thoughts on him?
Oh, he's a phenomenal guy. He's a phenomenal coach. He actually recruited me out of high school when he was at Northwestern State.
Student playing the mentor tonight, huh?
Well, I chose to go to ULM over Northwestern State, but he wasn't the reason. I mean, he actually was one of the reasons that made it very intriguing to take a look at Northwestern State. But I have been on the field against him as a player and him as a coach, and came out victorious, and I hope to have that same victory tonight.
One more time tonight. Let's talk about their quarterback, Beck. This guy against Natchitoches Central was 24 or 42, 466 yards and 3 touchdowns. Obviously, they play the spread and they know how to throw the ball.
They're probably only going to give us a couple of formations, but they are definitely going to sling it around. And he's 6'5" and has a phenomenal arm. As I remember coming out,
and a junior
at that. Coming out as an 8th grader, we're in the middle of spring ball down there, and there were several coaches there to take a look at Sean Washington, who went to Texas A&M, and then DJ Chark. And those guys are running around, and they see this long, tall, skinny, blonde-headed kid out there throwing the ball around, and they're like, "Man, Coach, who is that guy?" And I'm like, he's just an 8th grader right now. Wow. He'll be back. He'll be up here next year, and he ended up going to A&M's camp, and I think has won the long ball throw every year at every camp that he goes to. So the kid has a phenomenal arm, and if he sets his feet, then he can hurt you.
I know he's got several receivers, but Henderson, the wide receiver, had over 100 yards and several touchdowns that night. I mean, he's got not only the talent, but he's got the targets.
Jorian Henderson's a very good player, and he's a lot like Cephas Giggs for us. Very athletic, can do a lot of different things very well. And so, I don't know if he'll be on the field for him tonight or not. I know he's been in some trouble, but he could be out there, and we've been preparing for him, and he's a very good player.
We know what they're going to do offensively now. Tell us about their defense and special teams.
Defensively, they're going to line up and get after us. They got a bunch of kids that play really hard. I know they're missing a couple of their better defensive players. That one's ineligible, and another guy that I think had maybe some appendicitis or something. That's the Bellino kid. But so they're missing a couple of their defensive players, but they also have a bunch of young kids that really don't know who Ouachita is. They don't know anything about us, and
not a rivalry.
Not a rivalry. It's another game, and so they're going to strap it on and get after us.
What about the health of your team? I know you've had some nicks and dings over the last couple of weeks. Very healthy a few weeks prior. How are you going into tonight's game?
Well, it's funny that we, just a few weeks ago, we're sitting there, the complete team, thinking everything's coming together. And then all of a sudden, Carlos Robinson's out and Cam Davis is out. And those are 2 of our better players. And that really affected us the past 2 weeks against Ruston and affected us last week against Western Row. And, we're hoping to maybe get Cam Davis back tonight. And hopefully he can get things churning and punish some people with the way he carries the ball.
Well, last regular season game, last district game. Best of luck to you tonight.
Thank you very much.
You've been tuned in to the Jeff Fitzgerald pregame show, brought to you by PC Repair Doctor.